value-oriented project. The first one was is the beacon interface. The second one is called Puan Fan, which is a human-centered design to solve agricultural problems in Thailand. And I believe the only reason that Fa decided to join my team was because she wanted to work on a social project. Otherwise, she would go for somewhere else. Because for a design student to decide to work for a bank is, it's weird, to be honest. So social value project, I think it's actually what new students are looking for, especially the good ones. We just did a field trip with Ajahn Chu, the whole class, the service design class. We went to up countries, many provinces, to actually allow them to observe and interview actual users, which is farmers. And I think they are inspired. And the final project that has been presented to me were impressive in terms of, given their young age and the way they can digest a problem and came up with a solution was, to be honest, impressive.
Wow, thank you. I just know that. Thank you for the compliment. But actually, the design, I think, is still a long way to go. But,
the design is still, have some room for improvement. But I think the idea, concept, the ideation was very good. And
we got a lot of good suggestions from you as well. I think in your company, it's not really which perceived as a bank, but I think the magnet is like the innovation. The ways that the students can have a chance for the innovation, because 10 years ago, I don't think that any company would invest in the R&D and would invest in the innovation like this moment. And this is a very good opportunity for our students right now, because we have been preparing for years. And then once the opportunity is knocking, I think I'm very glad that we have KBTG in Thailand. In that.
Right. So you doesn't have to go to Hong Kong, all the way to Hong Kong. You can go to Jaeng Watthana, and then, we can partner together.
Oh, we have another collaboration, Ajahn Mai.
Or you can go north. We're leaving tomorrow.
Wow,
it's going to be a contest of who's going to.
So we're leaving tomorrow as well to Ubon Ratchathani to do another field trip.
Wow, that's all tempting. Okay, and I think along the same discipline, we would like to share a little bit in terms of, because in your class you do a lot of collaboration with the industry and many companies.
What happened is, because I'm teaching architecture, like architecture studio, I'm teaching the first year where we put, we call design fundamental, where we put every major together and teaching them like basic design. And then I'm taking care of the second year studio for architecture program, and then also thesis. What I see in the last, let's say the last 5 years, there is a very big issue that our students who has been studied as supposed to be an architect, go for architect license and and design a good building, they end up not working as being an architect. And it's, if you talk to all the major firms in Thailand, they would complain that if they would look for a senior architect with so-called 10-year experience, it's actually a very rare to find in Thailand. So many people study architecture, the young generations, and they end up, they don't want to be an architect. And if you actually take a look on the street in Thailand, Thailand still don't have a very good basic building. The building is always look a bit so-called undeveloped, I would say. Yeah, like if you compare to Europe, like as a common middle class income cannot achieve a good facilities from the government or even like a good affordable building. They always look a bit like too much or too less in a certain degree. Like it's not sustainable, that long life living with it. So it seemed like, I mean, in architecture realms, we still need a good architect, but at the same time, I don't know what's going wrong with architecture educations, that kids, they come with a lot of hope, a lot of thought, that they actually, when you interview them on the first year, they have a lot of dreams. And then after they study a lot, they feel like there's a lot of opportunities that can shortcut their dreams better if they would sell clothes online They open a lot of website. They like they have a lot of odd job along the way, and then at the end to be an architect would be like to torture, right? And then we found out that there was a lot of like kids has a dream of having a coffee shop. They would use their own knowledge to do their own thing, or even has a little piece of land and then they want to do commercial house, and then you can get a good money and then you can play in the stock market. You use that money, like you get the land from grandpa, you invest, you work a lot, work hard to make like a row of commercial house, you'll be able to sell it off. You make money and then you find a way. They have so many different way of making living and then pursue their dream, where they think that they cannot put their dream or their passion that is matching together with a business owner anymore. Or like it's like if they would work as an architect. So what let's say my team, we try to change. We started to change the type of project, where it's not anymore that they would get a task where it's a bit like dreaming, like designing a house for husband and wife with 1 dog, 2 kids, and something like that. So we take that out. We let them meet real person. We get the real users. We put on the list like who would like to have a house, and then it's called like so-called like different professions, and then let them meet real people, let them talk to people. And then let's say last semester we did something where we started to see a very good impact, where we have a project to design local market, and then we match them with the owner of Bon Marché, like a business, like he's the developer, and then he has a background as being an architect as well. So let them meet real persons who own business and then who has passionate in life, and then we still don't know like what are we going to do.
If I can say that, I think architecture students around the world, it's very difficult. And especially in the US, architects have basically made zero money. I mean, zero money. So, but what I have seen is that a lot of people who still love architecture have started their own firms and have done in very creative, have really done their own startups and have really reinvented, in some cases like housing, mobile housing. So I'm just saying what I've seen in the industry, they've recreated it themselves because they couldn't get a job with the standard. So they've gone out and they have now are the leaders because they set the standard. And those who do go to large companies, you know that they do nothing except the same thing over and over, which kills your spirit. So I think architecture is the most difficult position, but also has the most opportunity because there's such a great need now for the housing and even, industrial type of new ways of thinking. So I would actually think you've got an exciting time.
Right, I personally think it's going to get worse for you, to be honest. What we don't realize is what we are teaching the student in school is basically 3 very key skills, right? Creative thinking, interviewing techniques, and a very complex presentation skills, right? And these 3 skills they can thrive in doing anything in life, in any industry. Actually, my dean, the dean of my school at that time, used to say that we can do anything very well except designing houses. And he was joking, of course, because at that time, the student went to the entertainment industry and they become actors and actresses and even comedies and Chaliang and So, but to be honest, think about this. When they are in school, we ask them to do a very creative thing. We let them do new things like every other week, right? But once they get into corporation design firm, it's become repetitive. I left because I've been asked to do 50 bathrooms for a very big building, and it wasn't designed to me. It was like a robot, right? Today I can design a program to do that instead of an architect. So that's why I left, and it was a right decision for me because where I ended up today, I'm still using all the skill that I got from the design school, but designing something else, designing value for real people. So I'm not sure if we want to keep them as an architect, maybe we need to change the way we use them. We use architects. Technology these days can automate or can do repetitive tasks, very complex tasks. So maybe like designing repetitive design for the whole building, like all the escalators, all the bathrooms can be done by robots, and the architect become master of the robots, designing building that has soul, has spirit, has some real value. So I think you are going the right way, where you introduce them to the real person early on, so that they become, they realize that their job is much more than just brick and mortar. It's more about real people, and hopefully that will keep them engaged as architects all along.
That's great suggestion. Thank you. And I think we have a special opinion from the interior. So no, I'm just kidding. So we listen a little bit.
Hello.
She's a hybrid between interior and industrial design.
It's the combination between industrial designer and interior architect.
Okay, it's like since Kun Cherry asking to hear from us, right? So I try to share some of the ideas and some of what happened inside the school and how we running it, how we doing it. Okay, so. First of all, it's because we talk about the change of the world, we're talking about all those things that impact us, right? It's like fintechs, like blockchain, for example, like technologies, and the electric vehicle, right? Like Tesla, that's going to change the world, and a lot of things. So what happened is when all those people going to a startup business. Either it's hit or miss, boom or bust. The rate is different, or the miss rate is very high. I think it's about we have to create the mindset of the students. We have to going to try and error, right? And they have to prepare to be fail, right? So I think that's the most important, because we cannot promise them that okay, if they do this, they're gonna success, and I think the big problem of Thai students is they tend to stay in their comfort zone, because I think it's about cultures. It's very difficult trying to push them and change their mindset. I think that's a big problem. But what we're doing right now, since from the first year design fundamental class, we're trying to engage them to think about be expressive, right? Trying to not be afraid of failure, right? So they have to try to make things and don't kind of focus too much on the outcome, but concern more about the process, how they reach their outcome. That's what we're trying to do.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
You don't need the rest. You don't need us. You already know. That's it.
All right,
Wow.
thank you.
โอเค อาจารย์โจ้ lead group เลยค่ะ
Oh wait, do you want to tell that story you told me in the car yesterday about speaking, a woman speaking and who's talking a lot? Pla told me a story. Pla is trying to help me be culturally sensitive because I'm a Farang. But you told me a story yesterday about a woman who was talking at your class. So this is interesting.
Okay, just to build on, I guess she would like to tell you that it's very cultural, and again, we can train the student, but be mindful, because I told her my experience in Stanford, where we got international students, which mean Americans, Asian, Europe, South American, all of them, right? And one of my observation was Americans are very good in speaking, as you might observe. They like to talk a lot, and there were a time that in the class I got in business school, people love to share because first of all they have so many things that they want to speak out, right? And also a lot of class score is from participation. So I one time saw like one American friend, just classmate, just keep talking for the most of the time. And at the end of the class, we have feedback on each other. And I got one friend, I think she's Asian, I don't remember, maybe Chinese or something, told my American friends like, I can't stand you take a lot of time, like you speak too much and you don't allow others to speak. While my American friend turned to her and like, that's your fault. I speak because no one talked. And so it's like, I learned that a lot of Asian culture, even myself, it'd be rude if someone speak and we just take over, right? We have to like raise the hand and wait until the professor turn to and like, okay, now you talk. But in America, it's like, you want to speak, just speak out. And then that's a good lesson that they learn. So it's not no one wrong, like Americans not wrong, Asian not wrong, but we just have to understand and maybe set the context of the class before starting. We can say, this is the way we want to do in the class, yeah.
And it all goes back to user-centered design. You know, like Plaza, no one was wrong. You just didn't know the other point of view. So it all goes back to who is the user, who's the context. But also yesterday, I think you have a program about how to talk professionally, Toastmasters, and these are the other things that I think are really critical. These other skills that are not focused on the discipline itself, but are critical to making the leap from school into business. So if you want to work somewhere abroad internationally, what is it that you need? If you need speaking, if you need to know business, I would say that those are probably more important now than ever before. And the other question I have is maybe later on, I would like to know how you hire people, because I know how I hire people, and I think it's important for you to hear that. So.
Okay, so let me take the American spirit and speak a little bit more. First of all, let me go back to the question about student not going out of the comfort zone and don't have enough immune system for failure, right? So that is something we need to teach them. In my experience, design students are the ones that has the most immune system for failure because they don't cut a lot when they present. Like teachers still do that in the school, like a very strong critic to when they present. Okay, that's good. Keep doing that, right? Because they would need that going out to the real world, especially in the startup area. In Thailand, we promote startup as a very big dream that you become your own boss. You don't need to work for big corporation. But startup has a lot of dark side that we don't tell our students. Let me give you some numbers. In the US, the Silicon Valley, the home of the startup, the success rate is about 20%. So mean 20 company out of 100 will succeed, the rest, the 81 will fail. And that is a very, very good number. And the average age of people who do the startup in the US is 30. So these are professionals with many years of experience, and still they manage to be successful only 20%. In Singapore this year, the target for Singaporean government is 2%. They will be celebrating if they get 2% success rate in their startup. And the average age for startup in Singapore is about 27, 26. Looking at Thailand last year, our success rate was 0.2%. And the average age of our startup student is new graduates. So you can see the difference. I've been talking in a lot of startup camps, and the only thing that I want to say about startup is there is a lot of dark side. You can't have a successful business just because you have good idea. You need to have a whole bunch of other skills like business management, finance, and so on. Even like people skill. What would you do if you go to the office in the morning and everyone want to leave because they don't get enough pay? How would you solve that? How would you keep the company running? So if you want to teach a startup to the student, you need to teach them the dark side so that they can survive, right? So, and get them to get out of the comfort zone is to actually have them experience the negativity of the good idea so that they be prepared, right? So how I hired staff, so, okay. First of all, I look into their eye. When you look into the eyes and you see that positive spirit, then you know that there's still hope in there, and that was when I want to hire. I don't hire it based on score or GPA or whether they are from Stanford or MIT or Harvard or, sorry about that, it's very good. Stanford is very good school. Or Chulalongkorn, for that matter. I would hire people graduated from Ramkhamhaeng University if I see that positive spirit in their eyes. I think you know that being a teacher, when you teach a class and you look at the student and some of them just do this, or doesn't want to look into your eyes, and that is like a warning sign. So I hired people with good spirit, and this day you need people who can work in interdisciplinary team. A design student who can talk to an engineer or business people and doesn't just want to sit in the corner and doing design. So communication, positive attitude, can-do attitude is very important, especially when you are running innovation team where you tackle unknown problem every day. So faith and belief is important. So when I hired people, I want people that will not quit when they get into the unknown. Those people who want to work in a repetitive job or feel secured will not be happy in my team. So that's how I look at it.
Well, I think I do the same thing. So what's happening in other companies when they're hiring, for example, I don't know if you heard the company Zappos. They were bought by Amazon. But for example, and this is the trend, they will hire someone, but you have to go through a training course for a week. After that training course, if you don't want to continue, they will pay you like 5,000 American dollars to leave. They will pay you to leave. At Google, they will pay you if you have a project that you don't think is going to succeed. They will pay you to stop. So what I'm saying is that companies really want someone who's going to be passionate. And I don't mean passionate by you're going to stay there overnight in a sleeping bag like we used to. It was a sign of courage that you slept, you worked all night. No, they really want someone who is going to be honest and have integrity. And I think that's what you're saying.
Exactly, right.
Just to share briefly about how to build what you said, like positive spirit, or what you said, tolerance to failure, because I think it's about the mindset. And obviously from my own experience, starting in Thailand with the way we think, the way we learn, is very safe. It means that we would do things if we feel safe enough. And that's totally opposite from if you want to do startup or innovation. And I guess what changed me in Stanford is that they just create the experience for you to learn, to experience, and to fail. But you learn that when you push to fail, actually failure is not that bad. And there are I think there are several things that you can do. For example, put student on exercise that I used to teach with some Stanford teacher that he actually told me before starting, like his goal is to have the student fail in that exercise. Yeah. Or there are some other class that I took that's, for example, it's called improvisation theater. I'm not sure if ever you have known. It's basically about theater, but you don't have any, you can't prepare because it just pop up, like someone may say something and you have to just react to that. And the first class, what you learn is about failure. They said on the stage, you can't avoid failure, first of all. And what happens if it's fail? What you have to do is just to celebrate and continue, because if you feel bad and stop, the whole performance would just not work, right? So if you do something wrong, just oops, and yeah, continue. So that's actually very good spirit to teach students to accept failure and move on. And I think there are many several things that you can do.
Wow, that's great advice for the students as well. Then Chun would like to ask something. Actually, we have two more aspects before break, before coffee break, right? And then we will come back with the head of the lab sharing. But we will finish the first round first.
Yes, it's actually, I just hit by the Kun Pra was mentioned about the mindset that you learn from Stanford. But it seems that when you answering this question, I kind of get the ideas, like, dare to fail and accept the failure, and then the failure could be, and then go out of the comfort zone. But maybe Kun Pra could share, when you learn from the Stanford, what kind of mindset that you get it from there, and then how would that help you in terms of, from the business background into the design, and then how this could be, what kind of mindset that you could, these two could bring, and then when you go out from the school, then you can help you like to challenge, what the future will come.
Okay, so maybe I can tell you briefly about what I have learned. Before I go to Stanford, I always thought I will come back to work in business. But the mindset that I have when I want to do any project is that I have to prepare myself to be ready. And if you have that mindset, it means that you never do anything because you never feel ready in anything in reality, right? And there were a time that I took I guess it's the class that I took in the D school. The class put me on the project that really difficult. But what they give me is, first, they give very high expectation on every student, but they also give a good support. And along the project, we fail sometimes, but after we fail, what we learn is that it's okay, it's just the learning process. So the key that I got from the professor and people in Silicon Valley is that actually failure is not at the end of the world, it's just the learning process. And when you fail, you just learn something and you redo it in a better way, because at least you don't do that same mistake. So if you can make students learn that this is the process, the failure is actually not the end of the story, just the process, you're gonna be fine with that. And I think one important thing that design people have is to use prototype and test. And I think that is actually very good tools to limit the risk. So if you learn that and teach it to students, I think it helps.
Okay.
Okay, you also learned about empathy, right? You want to talk about that?
What about it?
She had no empathy before going to Stanford.
Not true.
That's not true?
Yeah. Okay.
As a business person, I think you didn't yeah?
Okay. Okay. One thing that I can tell is, before I go to Stanford, working in the business, what I thought is, for example, when I lead the project, everyone in the team should do whatever the head of the team say. Just like, okay, this is the plan, you go and do it. And when they can't do it the way I thought like, oh, you are wrong because you have to do it. But then when I learned about design thinking, the first process is about empathy, to understand the user. Then I start to go and talk to the people who work in the project and realize that sometimes things are not just as what I thought. For example, there are several situations that may come up and things can't be as planned. And after that, I can give like specific example. For example, we say everyone have to come to the company start at 9 a.m. for example. But in reality, someone may say, I can't come at 9 because I have a kids, I have to send them to school, but I'm happy to stay longer. But if you just follow the rules, everyone have to come at 9, people like that person may not be able to work. And I think if we can understand and accommodate that people, this is like super small example, but I learned that a lot of business people doesn't have empathy. And if you can bring empathy in their mindset, they're gonna be able to create much better product, much better service that serve the user needs.
Yeah, because we talk a lot, thank you, we talk a lot about the human-centered design. So we would like Ajahn Po to share a little bit because he's the one who really initiate industrial design program with human-centered design. So he's the pioneer of that. Ajahn Po can transfer to Ajahn Yot as well. It's up to you. Or both of you can talk about overlap better.
Okay, thank you. I will pass this to Ajahn Yot.
Okay, good morning. I think as you know, right, industrial design program here start human-centered design, I think almost 70 years ago, right? And I think this year is going to be the big change because we have been create a program we call the collaboration program. It's focused on the 3rd and 4th year student, right? And for the 1st and 2nd year, we try to encourage them to learn a lot about the human-centered design. And we found that for the 3rd and 4th year, for the collaboration program, we expand from human-centered design to be a people. Because the people have more like it's more complex than human, right? And then we push all like a business, technology, and society, right? The next, we're gonna create the internship platform. We not focus only the industry in Thailand, but now we start jumping to the other country. For example, we just came from India, and we plan to export the connection about the internship platform in Taipei, and we have done in Japan. The problem is in Japan and Singapore, right? And the problem is about some country we have a legal about the internship, right? We try to start from the lab in university because it's not about the legal, right? And from our almost 20-year experience, now we come up that we have to focus about the ability to learn. I think it might in the same way that you mentioned. Knowledge is really, I think it's not difficult to give to deliver to the student. But nowadays, ability to learn is very important because the world is move very fast and many things is happen every day. Student is it's very important for student to ready to learn, and right the process of the failure, right, that is very important. That's all.
One thing that I found really interesting is this observation that many students, architecture students, deciding not to become architects. Because that's something that I've noticed a lot as well, is that many students across the creative disciplines are rejecting a particular kind of professional design, I think. And in some way, I find it kind of characterized a little bit by that notion of design thinking. I think there's a rejection of a kind of systematization and a businessification of design, really. And what I find interesting is so many people choosing not to be professional designers, but to find some way of taking control over their own life. And I think that's a trend that is really, really important. And so in that sense, I think developing a particular methodology or using an off-the-shelf methodology might get some business results, but it's not helping in terms of personal growth. And one thing about being a designer or an artist or a creative professional in the past was always, to me, the education was developing a sensitivity to the world, a way of opening onto the world, a way of understanding the world. And you don't get that through an IDEO methodology, I don't think. You get that through a particular way of learning how to think materially, how to have an empathy to materials as well as to people. Failure is one thing, but we've always failed. That's why we sketch and re-sketch or remake. So to some extent, my concern a lot with design thinking is I think it's kind of like the emperor's new clothes. It's a way of turning into a commodity, something that designers and artists have always done. And the final point, I think the big trend for me, I mean, all the trends are really interesting and really important, but the biggest trend is that digital technology has democratized design in a way that we're not really aware of the implications of yet. But for the first time, the means of design production are not owned professionally, but they're available to everybody. And I think that is a really huge issue and really huge challenge for all of us.
You cannot escape.
Cannot escape. Why? Yeah, I think it's this idea of notion of the innovations and then stuff and the idea of the education in especially talking about design school in Thailand in the international programs, because they have no other kind of the fine art program, they have no international program. We never talk about these innovations, but we are kind of the more trained in this aspect. But once it comes to design, and when we talking about the failure, actually the students are afraid of failing class, not the studio. We failing the class, not the project. We are allowed to them to encourage fail the project. It doesn't matter, because of meanwhile we are talking about why it's a fail. That is the part of our education. And if this able to deliver in the English or deliver in some certain kind of the manner and the logics, I think that's already in the part of the design thinking. But they are not aware because of I was also teaching at the first year. Right away to first year to talking about design innovation is too advanced. Because they have even they are not understand what the design means, or they understanding design in a more visual understanding. Like architect, okay, what they come, I want to make in condo. No, this is a real discussion. During the first year, we are kind of talking a lot, and then also talking about not failing the project. We are talking about you are failing class because you are not a come. And this part of the attitude are different.
Attitude and manner.
Of course, by the event. So, but of course, it's depending on the program to program, because their idea and the direction. Because our school is a school of architecture and design, which cover quite wide variety. It cannot say into the one particular directions. But yes, of course, after they graduate, they need to experience more in order to not to survive as one particular section. That's what we are always talk. And of course, particular in the communication design, we are setting up those kind of the project that the student need to start from the scratches, because we don't help. We don't help. We ask them to really going outside and then to find, and then coming back with something. Of course, they are very scared because they always ask me, so Ken, where to go? And I say, I don't know.
You'll know when you get there.
When you do
I
it,
know
right?
what I want, but I don't know what you want. So that's kind of the conversation. We are beginning with the, before talking about design, we are talking about the, okay, so what that it means of this action. So it's quite similar, but so to me, it's kind of very difficult to think as this idea as the more philosophical and the contextual level to settle, rather outcome to me. Because the outcome, it cannot be because of the innovation design. We don't know what we're going to come out. That is the reason that we're using as a word, creativity and innovation. If you already know about out, then it's not work. It means it's a foundation. And this kind of the fundamental approach is not only from the high school, not only from the university. It is supposed to be coming out from a bottom, which I don't know. But also, we also need to know about how those high schools are input to those ideas. Maybe those people, it's already ready to come with us. So this is another perspective that I was kind of listening and thinking and looking at the Thai perspectives as my just experience. Of course, it's I'm fully not understanding about the Thai high school education, to me, it cannot. But I was assuming that what is the consequence, why it's come. So that's what I kind of, picking up and thinking, and yes, it's really important. And of course, our graduate thinking about, startup as well. There are many starting to. Of course, we have a question. Because startup is a trend or not inside yourself. You're mentioning about it's really nice that most of the case in the startup start from the 27 years old or 30 years old. Yes, I do agree. But I disagree that after graduate you can become the startup right away. It's really dangerous. So in that aspect, that what we need to tell is actually just to give, especially in the BFA. In BA, it's not a master program. So BA is more like try to just to let them kind of go away to me. in a nice way, no? Because it's a nice way. In a nice way.
Yeah.
There's some come back. There's some come back, and some of they're setting up some company. Of course, those they're willing to taking our student to be the internship. So it's a natural kind of organic kind of the collaboration begin. But it's not a world level, but it's a local level. But if they're talking about this local level, it's activate. It's going to be able to trigger to next step. But maybe our program are still not ready yet. Let's say, not ready yet to go very the high step. Maybe we just slowly kind of see what goes on. That's the BA level. That's what I was kind of referring back. That's it's become like my opinion, but
thank you so much. I think it's very thoughtful, and we have a very fruitful and fun conversation, but we have to have a break right now.
Quick questions. What I kind of doubt or have a very big questions, like, what do you think as a design school like us? At the moment, we're supposed to have more classes for business, like educations, for example. Like students should have a little more clue on finance, business, or the mindset of doing business supposed to come naturally, like A or B.
Can I have the C one? So I'm so glad that you asked this question, because I've been talking to Ajahn Chu. I was invited to talk at the Suranari University in Korat, right? And there they have a management school with the head of the management school is very big in entrepreneurship. So what she is teaching her business student is design thinking, service design, plus the entrepreneur spirit. And obviously she is weak at the design thinking and service design because they're not design school and they don't have design school at SoAD University. On the other hand, what you are doing here is you are very strong at design thinking and service design, but you probably quite weak at the other side, which is the business side. It would be perfect match if the two schools work together. I think the students are supposed to have both sides of thinking to be able to success. When we're talking about entrepreneurship, we are not talking about going out and start their own business. I think even though they go out and join a big corporation, the big corporations these days expect people to have more of entrepreneurship. They even invented a new term called entrepreneur. Like the entrepreneur is someone who owns a business. Entrepreneur is someone with the entrepreneur spirit working inside a big corporation, but running a project as a business project, thinking about return of investment and so on. So I think I would love to see the two schools work together and leverage on each other's strengths and help, mitigate each other's weaknesses. Would be a great picture to see and would be good for the student as a whole.
For me, just to shortly answer, as I were the student last year, so I guess nowadays students are really interested in other different areas. For example, business people interested to study design and vice versa. I guess some designer or architecture might want to learn about business. I think it's good if you give options for students to learn. But again, I said it's option because nowadays you can't just force students to do whatever you thought. So give them opportunity, telling them that we have these options, and if they're interested, just let them do.
So students can learn online very easily these days. You don't have to even offer it. There's online courses. So I would say to be careful what you do because you don't want to be too widespread either. I would also say that what part of business do you want to learn? You don't want to learn accounting, maybe just the aspects of accounting. What I actually tell students when I teach is just read the Financial Times, because you actually don't want to learn how to accounting or finance. That's an MBA. What you need to learn is how a business works. So that's why I prefer reading I still read business newspapers because I have to understand why a business is in business.
Okay, I think it's time for break, but we are not finished yet. You still can enjoy the questions, and also we will come back 15 minutes later with the head of the lab gonna present and share some progress and what we have done in each lab, and then when we get some comments from the guests. So 15 minutes break. Is that okay? Is that enough? Okay, thank you very much, Ka. And please welcome if you guys have any ideas and would like to generate or initiate more labs like intercultural or any labs that you have in mind, or innovative learning labs, you can talk later. This is the inspiring session about what each lab has been doing. The first lab is going to be sustainable design development by Ajahn Jeep. The second one is going to be lighting lab from Ajahn Yui. I can LRIC. I cannot really pronounce the full name. Lighting Lilik. Okay, Lilik lab. Lilik. Okay. Lilik lab from Ajahn Yui. The third one would be Future Living lab from Ajahn Phung. The fourth one would be Urban Sense lab from Ajahn Ji. Has to be sense as well, not just only urban, right? Okay. The fifth one is gonna be Media lab, okay, from Pichai, Ajahn Chai. The sixth one is new coming, but she would like to present first. Okay, Ajahn Bo. Fab Lab, okay, right? Maker to be the maker. Very exciting. We have facility right now. Everyone can use, and she can advertise that. The 7th one is going to be Able Lab from Ajahn. The 8th one is Seed Lab. What is it stand for again?
Spatial environment and experimental design.
Great, thank you อาจารย์โจ้ค่ะ very fancy lab name ค่ะ and the last one would be social innovation lab from อาจารย์เอค่ะ alright are you ready to listen are you ready are you ready okay yeah thank you alright please welcome อาจารย์เจี๊ยบค่ะ
Hello everyone my name is Sapinya Okay, and I'm not actually we are a group of people who interested in social and environment, which is quite important at this time of global warming and everything. Okay, so in my lab, not only me, but there's Ajahn Achalawan Shutilat. She is building technology, right? Building technology concerning sustainable building and energy, and she is like the connection with other experts in energy engineering and lighting and everything. I won't talk into details, but I'm going to talk about our recent work, which we just finished. And Dr. Wasit is a researcher, instructor on site in Chiang Mai. Okay, and he's working on our work too. Okay, and this is a past work that we have worked on. One of the example of work, my lab, which is we call DES lab, Design for Environmental and Sustainable Development. We focus on we try to find the real work. Okay, with the real clients, okay, and a lot of stakeholders, including communities, social concern, environmental concern. Actually, when we talk about like social, it's also like cultural identity of that community. Okay, and this is the work which I continue working with a village. I used to work for the Lawyer Project. To recover the first factory at Phang and become a museum, okay, a first living museum of Thailand. Okay, that project is finished, but the village that adjacent to that building, now they are trying to be like a role model in water management project. And this guy, he actually is a like a committee leader, but in the role, but not in the like organization or something. He's just one villager with like he has money already, and free from financial fee. Not that financial fee, but he's like have enough to contribute back, okay, to the village. So he bought this land. And this land includes the water source, okay, which is very, very important. Okay, and the water source is here. Okay, and he bought this land, which used to be an agricultural land. The really like the field. Okay, the cornfield, okay, and the forest was destroyed, but it's actually like a first watershed forest, first what you call first degree watershed forest. Okay, so this is the work we've done for this land. Okay, and the land before we went there was like that. Okay, and this is a scenario. So what we try to do is we integrate this work with our course. Actually, it's just an elective course, but we use our lab as like an office to work on this thing and have a student as our assistant. It's okay. Okay. What we think it would be useful for the student is for them to go out of the class and go into, the environment. Okay. And, go into the forest, to the waterfall, to see the water source, to see the a lot of many types of which you call check dams, okay, and the good or bad and bad example, okay, and this is the way that they have to go, okay, and we work days, nights at the site, okay, which is villagers, one of the villagers. Home, okay, like they supported the students and our lab, okay, to stay there, eat there for free, okay, and we bring our model, we brought our model which we have done in class to look and compare at the real site. So that is the way the student learn. Okay, to see what they, do in the paper or in model and what is the real site. We have like Lao students, internship, Romanian, and one of the Singaporeans, yeah, exchange. And then we brought our students there, with the help of the villagers, work together to do 3 check dams at the watershed forest, okay. Actually, this village has already done 600 check dams to preserve the water, okay. And this is our Romanian, and he has skill in doing, this chopping, bamboo chopping. Why our student is very clumsy, and this is the first time doing that. Okay, so this is what we done. Okay, I don't go there. I just stood at the top of the hill and look at them. I won't get my hand dirty. And this is the work that I have done in our lab. Okay, with the assist of our student, to be like an example or the learning place for the water management system, a good water management system. So this place can be like a learning center for the other people to come in and study what is the way to do the check dam, how to use the product from water, and how important the water, be. This project, I still work with the owner of the house, and he started doing this market. Actually, it's like multi-purpose house in Chinese style, Yunnan Chinese style, which is this village culture, and so it's gonna be like the open market. It's gonna be like a learning, training center for the village or something like that. So now we are working on this. All of this we done for free, but we have no expense because they support us everything, even the production. It's not, it doesn't cost that much though. Okay, and I have also a support from the KMUTT for lawyer project, for the, transportation and other things, and also from the school in some part. So it's like a joint matching fund, okay? This also the project up on the north is the Royal Project. It's a organic agricultural plantation in Hue Nam Lin, Chiang Rai. Chiang Rai faced a very serious problem of deforestation. Okay, so Royal Project not only try to build a carrier for the community, but also try to spread the knowledge, the good about the good agricultural system, or what we call GAP, which is good agricultural product. Okay, this is the community itself is I think it's Hmong village. Okay? And surprisingly, this area is also the a learning center, like a learning center for Thai massage and yoga, which only foreigner knows to come there, stay there, homestay, and learn for 1.5 months or 2 months. But no Thai knows about that. Maybe Thai don't want to stay in this type of house. However, we talked to Royal Project and move all the factory down to another site adjacent, which is also their site. And so on the top of the hill, it become another thing, agricultural, organic agricultural farm, and also like a homestay with the very traditional home, but actually it's for tourists. But it's like a rebuilt home which use the old technique. That's the idea. Okay, so this is our work we submit. Okay, there's another project on our second semester. This one is on the south of Thailand. Okay, this school used to be hit by the tsunami. If you heard about the tsunami, right? 10 something years ago. Okay, even a year ago, and now this school has to receive the disadvantaged students or orphans that lost their families, their home from the tsunami or from something else. Okay, this school is under Princess Mahachakki Foundation. Okay, and the school is okay now. Okay, a lot of funding, everything, but now the school have the policy and have the objective to build a carrier, a really what you call safe carrier, what you call? I mean, the carrier for all those students, which they have quite a good connection with the hotels around there. So the hotel business is, hospitality business is like a good career path for all those students. And surprisingly, because this area, they have been through the hard time together, right? Khao Lak area, in Ao-Son or something like this. So they work together a lot, Even all those hotels try to support and get the staff from this school. Now the school want to expand to its facility to be sorry, any pita? Sorry. Okay. Now the school want to expand the area to be the hospitality school. Okay, which have the hotels inside, but just an example of hotels. Okay, and so I integrate. I and Ajahn Achalawan integrate this course, this work with the studio course. Okay, we just finished. Okay, and we have present work very closely to the client, okay, to the real students. They go there and make an interview. They went to the field. They went to 5 hotels and they even talk to the community which have a really strong tourist base. How to say? Tourist-based tourism. Community-based tourism. Okay, and so we already present to client. Okay, and this is a work. Our students have to do not only the presentation but the poster and also the book. We're gonna finish a book soon, which we can submit to the school. Okay, and this is a work from our student. Yeah. This work we also be asked to continue working. Actually, we are afraid that before this we were afraid that we were afraid that our student works might be like too far of what they expect. But surprisingly, 5 representatives from school came to the presentation, and they got a lot of idea, and they have it opened their world, and they said it's possible, it's really possible. Like I look into their eyes, and I see the fire, and I felt really good that, at first I have no hope. I just finished the project. The student won't, because it's a studio, so the student won't compromise. They propose what they think it's really aggressive. I want you to see one of the work like this work. Actually, there's animation, but the file is too heavy. If you want to see it. It has been shown in the other exhibition already. This one is, the design is not normal at all. But the schools think that it's interesting. And can we at least do some part as this? So that school can step up from a really government image school to be like a real hospitality school. Okay, and they even talk about they should have a uniform, a nice uniform for the teachers and students. Okay, and this one is also interesting. So this one propose like this too. Propose a very traditional style house of Takua Pa community, okay, and become like a school for the student, a classroom for the student. And this is another work we've done last semester. We just finished. This one is also for Loyal Project, but it's a Ecotourism Learning Center in Pang Da. เชียงใหม่นะฮะ so this is a site, okay, very very beautiful site, okay, not that high though, okay, and our school did a very brilliant work, okay. What I've done, this is only the elective course, okay, so I thought of how to finish the job in time and hand them 8 works, okay, 8 development works, okay, to change the image of a very humble, loyal project to be like a really learning center. Okay, and I think about I thought about bringing them to workshop 5 days or 7 days a week workshop, okay, and finish your job. After that, come back to do the paperwork and report and submit them, okay. But before that, we have to prepare a lot, okay, such as prepare their skill in doing this, prepare the information, the data, the site, the knowledge, equip them with knowledge, a good knowledge about like sustainable development, okay. And we go there, we do the workshop, okay, and they present. This is our client. They work days and nights until like 3 or 4 in the morning, in the morning, and then like 6 in the morning they have to go out again to see the sunrise and check the view. And 8 o'clock they have to check when all those staffs and villagers came into the site and start working. Okay. And this work, one of the group, they're good though, they're good in every class. Got the the first prize in VIEW event. VIEW is a work integrated learning, okay, event, and they got the first prize in creativity and design. But this is not the best prize. The best prize is now the project on the management, client, okay. They he asks to continue working on this one. Even it's a very, very aggressive renovation, building renovation, turning from like an old hotel to be a restaurant, okay. And they say they're gonna build it. They say, so now we have to continue working on this. Yeah. And if you see a little bit, this one. This is 5-6 day works. Yeah. We brought them to the villages to see the materials, study the old house, Thai Yai house, and then they use that knowledge to develop in the design. Okay, just some example. Okay, and maybe a little bit of this. This is a staff's house, which they said, but this one they're still afraid to do it because it look really like too good. They said, but they're thinking about using it as a like an accommodation area for like tourists. Nice though, this one. I use a bamboo that they have the farm here, the research farm of bamboo farm. หมดใช่ไหมหมดเวลา Okay, sorry. Okay, and in the lab we อาจารย์เอ้ย conduct the Bangkok on its way to smart city with the Stuttgart University in January. Okay, and we have UTM come here exchange. Okay, that's it. Sorry.